Let's again move to Pakistan, where grave human rights violations continue in the form of enforced disappearances, torture, crackdowns on peaceful protests or attacks against journalists. Those who demand their fundamental rights are facing persecution at the hands of security agencies and Islamic fundamentalists. Recently, a prominent Pakistani rights activist, Manzoor Pashteen, was arrested after allegedly being abducted by security forces. Pashtuns held worldwide protests to demand release of Manzoor Pashteen, chief of Pashtun Tahaffuz Movement. Protests were organized in the US, Germany, Austria, France and other parts of the world. A report. Pakistan is known for widespread discrimination against religious minorities, with attacks against Christians, Hindus and Sikh communities being widespread. However, in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, even Muslims are not safe. Grave human rights violations in Pakistan include enforced disappearances, torture, crackdowns on peaceful protests or attacks against journalists. Those who demand their fundamental rights are facing persecution at the hands of security agencies and Islamic fundamentalists. Recently, a prominent Pakistani rights activist, Manzoor Pashteen, was arrested after allegedly being abducted by security forces. Pashtuns held worldwide protests to demand release of Manzoor Pashteen, chief of Pashtun Tahaffuz Movement. Protests were organized in the US, Germany, Austria, France and other parts of the world.
Who is the sponsor of terrorism?
The protesters were seen shouting slogans like "Pakistan is killing, the world is watching,"
Pakistan is killing. The world is watching.
"Stop the Pashtun genocide," and "Free Manzoor Pashteen." PTM member Fazlur Rahman Afridi lambasted the Pakistani military establishment for trying to stifle the freedom of expression and their right to peaceful assembly.
The Pakistani military establishment is, forcefully trying to stifle our freedom of expression and our right to peaceful assembly, but they cannot stop us, around the world. They can stifle our freedom of expression in Pakistan, but they cannot stifle our freedom around the world because we are living in free world. These generals, the Chief of Army Staff, General Asim Munir, the DG ISI, General Nadeem Anjum, they are responsible for war crimes and crimes against humanity, including enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, torture and genocide of the Pashtun people.
Baloch and Pashtun political activists have raised the growing issue of enforced disappearances in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa in the United Nations Human Rights Council. Even though the successive governments in Pakistan have promised to make the practice illegal, people are still being forcibly vanished with impunity. Numerous activists, journalists and intellectuals have been reported missing, allegedly abducted by security forces or intelligence agencies. According to human rights organizations, such cases have been substantial. Reports have emerged on extrajudicial killings carried out by security forces in Pakistan. Thousands of cases of enforced disappearances remain unresolved in Pakistan.
We want the international community to try them before the International Criminal Court because they are violating the international law, they are violating the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the United Nations Charter. So Pakistan doesn't deserve to be the member of the United Nations as we stand before the United Nations Human Rights Council.
Pakistan is on the verge of collapse, not just economically, but socially as well, and the voices of dissent are growing strong. 3 of Pakistan's provinces, Sindh, Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, still remain underdeveloped, where poverty and malnutrition are rampant. The government does not appear to make any effort to upgrade the educational and medical infrastructure. According to World Bank, nearly 40% of Pakistani live below poverty line. Pakistani government, however, does not care about all these things. The sitting rulers in Islamabad and the army officials have nothing else to do except torturing people.